Homesteader family, welcome back. I know the Sunday Monday vlog cut out. I hit the power button, and then as I was trying to get the thing to load back up, the internet button clicked and shut everything down on my phone. So I could not bring the live stream back. I tried and it just killed it. So since I've had several people text me now asking if I'm going to do a continuation of the live stream, I'm not going to do a continuation of the Sunday Monday vlog. I'm just going to end that as it was. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about, since if you watch the Sunday Monday vlog, you know all of a sudden overnight my finances have changed. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the homestead. I'm not sure how everything's going to play out. If the family that was buying the ranch is going to end up coming up with the money to make payments to me in time for me not to end up where I can't afford paying the feed bills for my animals for the homestead, and if I have to get rid of them, or if I'm going to have to take out a loan against this building in order to go through a foreclosure process to get the ranch back, and then I still won't have money coming in until I get the ranch sold and things like that. So this video is why you might want to consider preparing, because you never know what's going to go wrong, what's going to happen. Like I said, you think you're securing a job, you think you're securing a relationship, you're securing your finances, but you never know when things are going to flip upside down. Like I've talked about many a times since 2016 when I made my YouTube channel for the homesteading, is about Pastor Dow and that video that I saw when everything was going well. When I had money, I was able to pay my mortgage, my light bill, my water bill, my food bill. And now I saw that video and then I lost everything in 2011. And I had to start from scratch and build my way back up. And here I finally got my credit cards paid off. I was doing good, starting to put money into the homestead to get fencing up, to try to save money by having the next pen ready for the animals to go into, to graze across the land, so I don't have to buy as much feed. And now that's being shut down. And then, of course, now I got the garden going, which is a good thing, even though that was debt on my credit card that now I'm not going to be able to pay. At least I know over the next several weeks to several months, I'm going to start getting food. So since, like I was talking in the Sunday Monday vlog, I'm going to start eating the food that I already had prepared, that I prepped for, in a way, not doomsday prepper where I've got years and years worth of food, but I do have enough food to get me through a couple months or so, probably 6 months. But that fresh veggies now, the cucumbers, the salad greens, the beet greens, the green beans and things like that, I can pick day after day as stuff starts to come in, and that will help supplement fresh food. Food I don't have to go buy. The cucumbers will produce a lot. The zucchinis will produce a lot. Yellow squash will produce a lot. So those types of things, a lot of people say, oh, what am I going to do with zucchini? Well, you can spiralize it into like a spaghetti noodle. You can cut it into like chips, fry them up as a type of healthy chip. You can cut them long ways, real thin, put seasoning, salt, black cracked pepper, and grill it if you have a grill. I don't have a grill. That's my next issue. Like I said, I don't have a kitchen anyhow. So my thing will be the toaster oven, or maybe make a fire outside or something like that. But these are things you might want to consider. You might not have a job. You might not have income. You might get injured and not be able to do things. And this is why I say preppers are good to one standpoint. Homesteaders are good to one standpoint. Survivalists are good to a standpoint. A naturalist, same thing. But if you can incorporate it all together, then you have a more stable foundation, along with what's going on now with inflation, hyperinflation that could set in, like Germany, the Weimar Republic, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, and all these other countries that have gone through hyperinflations. We have not hit that, even though our prices have skyrocketed and we're seeing outrageous pricing. We're not anywhere close to hyperinflation. A lot of people are feeling that, but we're not. However, like I've said for the last year and a half or so, I think this fall, October, November period, I could still be wrong, but I think there's going to be food issues coming up. And the reason I say that, and I've said this before, is because during the whole sickness of 2020, going through all that, when everything was closed and not producing, we were going through all of the reserves that we had. When people bought up all the toilet paper, everything that was in warehouses came out trying to fill that need. We burned through all those supplies. Our gas reserves for the country, that was stocked up in 2020 or 2019 and now got totally decimated. Same thing with what's going on right now overseas with us sending our missiles and vehicles and things like that overseas. We're getting rid of what we have. If something happens, we need it. It's going to take time to make it. Just like what we're producing right now for a certain country overseas, we didn't give it a year ago when they needed it. We're giving it bits and pieces here and there as we make it. It takes time. So if something ever happened to our country, we don't have it. It's going to take time to make it. So same thing with the food. By taking all those reserves, emptying out the warehouses, the cargo containers and things like that, you don't snap your fingers and have it. Just like in a hurricane or a tornado or earthquake, mudslide, any type of natural disaster, look, grocery stores are gone 3 days, empty shelves, and that's if it even lasts 3 days. Nowadays, with the panic buying, the high stress, the craziness, the way people think nowadays, stores are emptying in like 24 hours. And look how long it takes to get stuff back in. How long does it take to get bottled water in just so people have bottled water? Gasoline, we've seen through Hurricane Sandy on the East Coast, Hurricane Katrina, the I think Galveston one in Texas. Gas, people were upcharging $50 a gallon because people need generators, people need electricity. People lost all their food in their freezers. With the flooding, mudslides, and stuff like that, you lose everything in your house. Like I've said before, if you don't have a way to store all your preps, and that's why, yes, I have, good amount of food over there, good amount of toilet paper, paper towels, Kleenexes, stuff like that. But if a tornado came through, I could lose this all. If a flood came through, I lose it all. But if you had a waterproof root cellar, thank you, DT. Welcome back to you too. Then you're prepared. Your things are safer. Things can always happen. Mice could get in. There's all different things. You can't plan for everything, and that's why I say doomsday prepping is taking things to an extreme. But you need a little bit of flavor of each of the groups. You need a little bit doomsday prepper. You need to think outside the box of just wacky, crazy scenarios. You need the military training mindset of survival training. And if you went through survival school and military, which a lot of people don't, but you can research, what different programs. There's different TV shows they've done with like a SEAL team and things like that. You can see a little bit of training. They never show what real training is. But you can find these things on the internet as they exist now, as the internet exists. If we lost the internet, you can't do that. So you want to have all these pieces. You want a piece of Homesteader. Reason why you want a piece of Homesteader? A lot of the preppers and doomsday preppers, they're not homesteaders. They're not raising livestock. They're not doing gardens. They're not doing orchards. They're prepping by stacking stuff up. But by having a piece of homesteader, piece of prepper, piece of military, piece of doomsday prepper, piece of survivalist, piece of naturalist, herbist, and all the things down the line, then you're prepared in a better way for any type of situation that you can control. A meteor hitting planet, alien invasion, Bigfoot runs off with you in the woods to love on you or something. You can't prepare for that type of stuff, you know. Um, but you got to think of all these type of things, and then you got to go simple. What happens if you're walking down the steps at work and you break your leg and you just started at the job 20 days ago, so you don't have medical through your job and you can't work, you can't pay medical bills, you don't have medical insurance, your whole life just got devastated. You know, what happens if you go into work and they give you a pink slip and say you got 12 days and you're being laid off? What happens if the company goes under and everybody's just terminated because the store can't exist? Um, what do you do if you're a stay-at-home mom and your husband loses his job? Your life just got uprooted. These are different things you want to consider that, you know, you don't think it's going to happen. You don't think you're going to get cancer or a disease or get fired or become disabled, but it can happen. And in the human psyche, we always think that we're invincible. Nothing's ever going to happen to us. You know, I never thought I was going to fillet my face open with the angle grinder. Luckily, I've got the VA. If I didn't go into the service, if I didn't do what I did, if I didn't uh, act right in the military and get the honorable medical discharge, because I got medicaled out, then I wouldn't have the VA. You know, if I did drugs, if I was drunk and did DUI and all that stuff and did bad stuff while I was in the military and got a dishonorable discharge, I wouldn't have the VA. So everything comes together. You've got to look at how everything happens. You know, I didn't think I was going to mess up my neck and my back in the military. I thought I was going overseas to make a bunch of money and a 6-month deployment. That didn't happen. I got medicaled out. Now I got neck and back issues. If the VA doctors are right and I continue doing what I'm doing and I'm crippled over by 50, then I'm going to be in that situation. What do I do at 50 when I'm crippled over, maybe in a wheelchair or what have you? Or, you know, I could have stayed in bed, drooling, sleeping 18, 20 hours a day on all the painkillers, tramadol, and the other muscle relaxers I was on, and not living a life that way. I could have had bed sores and not live life. One of the best things, which I highly, and I'll have some vets that don't like this, I'll have some people that won't like me saying this, but I highly recommend nobody go into the military. I mean, with the way the world is now, with all the BS with the government and all that type of stuff, I would not recommend anybody go in the military. However, even though now I've got back issues, I've got neck issues, I've got tinnitus because 3M made the bad earplugs that I was given in training, thinking that my ears were protected, and here they had a hole and the sound decibels went right through, and that's why 3M is under the lawsuit right now over that. I have tinnitus. I get the ringing in my ears because I shot all different stuff: rifles, handguns, machine guns, grenade launchers, throwing hand grenades, all that type of stuff. That was my training in the military. You know, never thought all that was going to happen to me at 18, 19 years old. You know, that's lifetime of damage done to me, where some people don't have any ailments or anything like that until their older age. Because I got different things done to me at such a young age, as I age, even though I'm an alien, I lived 200 years. Some of you don't believe me. Can't prove it to you because you guys will be gone long before me, your kids, your grandkids. However, you know, as I age, those ailments are going to get worse. Like the VA says, if I keep lifting more than 6 pounds at any given time, I'm going to be crippled over by 50. They want me not doing all that type of stuff. They don't want me homesteading. But at the same time, my military training, you get shot in the field, you break a leg in the field, you twist your ankle in the field, you break your hand. You don't just stop and get captured. You fight your way back to recovery. You fight your way to extraction. You don't just give up. And that's where I feel I did give up by listening to the VA in the beginning, where I'm taking all those drugs, laying in bed, sleeping, and not living. So I decided to fight, and whether I am disabled real bad at 50 or not will be determined at that point. But if I didn't start the prepping mindset when I got into doomsday prepping back when I lost everything, and I realized after watching Pastor Dow's video on how quick in that 4 months from seeing his video thinking he was a total kook and not knowing what he was talking about, to where I lost my house, couldn't pay my electric bill, couldn't pay my food bill, had my house foreclosed on, and then worst case became homeless, living in the hobo tent out there in Cotopaxi, um, to buying buckets of rice and going in that doomsday mindset that it just absorbs you, because every video you watch then is nothing but bad news. And it's fear porn. People don't want to admit it's fear porn. It is fear porn. That's why you look at my channel right now. I've had my channel since 2016, and other channels are at 100,000 that started smaller than where I was. And I'm only at like 3,800 subscribers. That's because I don't sit here and do fear porn videos every day that say, the world's ending, do this, do this. I don't jump on all the hot topics like back, 3, 4, 5 months ago with the chicken feed with Tractor Supply and all that type of stuff. I don't do all the clickbait videos. I don't do all the hot topic videos that everybody's covering and they're getting all the views, because I'm covering my life, what I'm doing. Um, I I'm only doing this video more so because the Sunday Monday vlog video cut off. But it also is part of my life on, if I didn't do that doomsday prepping in the beginning in 2011 going forward, I would have never survived as far as I've come now. And now that I finally got everything back on top, got my credit cards paid off, and I was finally getting accomplishments done, fencing and stuff on the homestead, to now have $1,800 a month in income taken away from me overnight. And now I'll have credit card debt, paying interest rates and all that, and not being able to cover animal feed potentially in the next 30 days. It's thrown my life upside down. But like I've said, because I've bought toilet paper, or tissues, paper towels, toilet paper, food, dog food, so on and so forth, because I don't just homestead by having the animals and now I'm doing the garden, but I also part prepper, part survivalist. Worst case, I've got a place to live. I've got this place to live in. The rental house, I still haven't sold. Can't really get a loan against that because it's not in good condition. So I'll have to do what I have to do. If I only go to the homestead once a day now just to feed the animals and not really get a bunch of projects done, or, running chainsaws that cost money and gas and oil and stuff like that, I might have to cut back. But I put myself in a position that I'm able to survive. Financially, I have not done that. I have not pulled myself out of that hole from 2011. Even though I have multiple properties, everything's tied up between all these properties. So I don't have a money nest egg. I think I put up my bank statement a couple months ago as one of the pictures on YouTube and Facebook because people are like, you've got to have money. And I had like 31 cents or something like that in my bank account. And that's like right now, I think I have 1,100 and something in my bank account. However, when all my bills come out, I'm not going to have that $1,100. It's going to be down to a couple dollars and some change or just some change. Now, of course, I'm going to have credit card debt on top of that as well. And then next month, I'm going to have to pay the interest on now this credit card debt. But if you're able to get you a nest egg, that's good. Living in debt is what I've done my whole life because I don't come from a rich family. I've been screwed over a bunch of times. For those of you that have been watching me for a lot of years, you saw in Colorado, I had that builder get 30,000 down on building the house out there and just walked. The DA wouldn't go after them because they're all in cahoots. So that was 30 grand I lost. Different exes I've had that's cost me money working on their properties, working on their farms, houses, so on and so forth. That's left me in credit card debt. And then, of course, the major credit card debt was moving from Colorado to Arkansas. 34 trips of moving all my stuff out here, moving the animals out here, buying the shed to live in, roughing it in the shed, having to pay $7 a washing machine at the laundromat, and then the dryer, and then paying $5 for a 2-minute shower in town because I never thought about getting a gym membership, which would have been cheaper. Just all these types of things. So I want to throw out my lifestyle, my life experiences for you to start thinking if you're not part prepper, if you're not part homesteader, if you're not part survivalist, if you haven't done any training or investigation or Googling or YouTubing of military mindset and strategic mindset and planning and looking at every situation scenario, how it can go bad and things like that. Luckily, I have all that. I have backups for backups for backups for backups. However, my backups for backups for backups only get me so far. It might only get me out 45 days, and that's because I can't just make money appear. I can't just wish in one hand, crap in the other, and then have all this money in this hand. Like I said, I don't come from a wealthy family. I've lost everything. I've rebuilt my life multiple times now, and I'm still in the process of rebuilding my life. If Colorado would have sold and I didn't do the owner finance, I would have had the house built out here. I would have been in a better position. So think about your job. Think about, are you really in a good position where you are? You think that job's going to always be there. But like I said, you could be at the job for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. But look at how many corporations are shutting down. A lot of people don't follow what's going on in the world. Disney laying off a lot of people. McDonald's is shutting down a bunch of restaurants. A lot of them are filing bankruptcy. Burger King, Chick-fil-A, all this is happening this month, July. They've been talking about this since like February, March. All this was coming up in July. And this is another reason why I foresee a lot of bad things happening in October, November this year because of multiple causes. One, the storage, the warehouses, the backlog of everything that we used during the 2020 sickness. We ran out of all our surplus. During that time, all the shutdowns, people weren't working, they weren't restockpiling our reserves. That wasn't happening. 3, today, 2023, what are people not wanting to do more now than ever before? They don't want to work. People can't find reliable workers. People don't want to work for nothing. They want everything given to them. Because of that, they're having shortages of qualified workers to do work that needs to be done. So if there's people not working, then nothing's being produced, which is not going to our reserves or stockpile. So our supplies are dwindling and getting smaller and smaller over time. Four, look at the weather that's been going on. The flooding in Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and all that, where they threw all the wheat away because all the moisture caused mold and stuff like that to the wheat. Look at California, between the flooding out there and then the drying, and then Colorado being pounded with hail, uh, the tornadoes that have gone through parts of Arkansas and down south. Our food sources are being decimated. Then you look at war. Nobody wants to talk about it, but the country that's having all the issues right now is one of the major exporters of all different types of grains, seed oils, and things like that, which will raise the cost. Six, you look at some big countries overseas in Asia that are buying up 10, 20, 30, 40% of the world's supply of different grains and food sources to prepare their countries, where for whatever reason the US is not doing that. Like I've said before, the US isn't putting out flyers for everybody to grow their own garden to help. They're not telling everybody to get their own chickens for eggs, for meat, like they did during different world wars. For whatever reason, our country does not want our citizenship to protect themselves. They don't want us to prepare for ourselves. You look at FEMA and stuff, and they tell you get a 3-day supply. 3-day supply is nothing. Like I said, grocery stores nowadays, with the panic buying, the high stress, and people acting crazy, stores are emptying in 24 hours. So if the store is going to take 2-3 weeks to fill back up, your 3-day supply doesn't take you that far. And then you got to look at, on top of that, this month, number 6 or 7, whatever number I'm on, is all the layoffs. What's going to happen when all these people are laid off? They're not going to have money. If they don't have money, they're not going to other stores, which rolls over to the next one, which is more stores shutting down. Because if a whole bunch of people aren't spending their income because they lost their income at another store, it's going to be the snowball effect. Then that store gets shut down for lack of profit, which lays off more people that can't spend money at the remaining stores, which end up shutting down. And the trend continues. Same thing with inflation, which is another one. Inflation's continuing. What are they talking about now? Even though they said inflation's been going down, which we all know inflation's not going down. They're talking about the numbers are starting to tick back up. Gas is starting to raise. Certain food items are starting to raise. Different products are raising. Vehicles have dropped a bunch, but they're starting to raise in value again. If gas and diesel go up again, what happens to all transport? It increases. Shipping containers increase. It's a vicious cycle, and that is what we're stuck in. And that's why I said you may feel so comfortable at your job. I don't have that issue because I have income from different sources. That's how I survive. And I felt comfortable. And $1,800 of my income just vanished overnight. I was supposed to have it this past Wednesday. My animal feed bill alone, $2,600 for this last 30 days. $1,800 doesn't even cover my animal feed bill. Like I said, I've got electric bill, water bill, food bill, cell phone, truck insurance, dog food, so on and so forth. Luckily, I have other sources to cover that. But $1,800 is a huge, huge loss. What do you do when you lose your entire way of income, your entire source of income? Um, what happens if you're married and you have kids and both your husband and wife are workers? Some of you guys have two, three, four jobs. What happens if all of a sudden you both lose everything? Are you prepared to support your kids? What are you going to do to support your kids? What do you do to support yourself? Do you have food like I have on the shelf over here? Where if you get in a financial bind like I'm getting into right now, that I don't know how long this could happen. He could get paid tomorrow on Monday, and my worries could be gone for this month. But because he's a house builder and building is plummeting right now, real estate market is starting to plummet, which is another number coming up. He might not have the money to go. All right, DT, you have a good night too, and have a great day at work tomorrow. Hope your week goes well. Um, but if he doesn't get money, he can't just wish in one hand for money to pop into his hand. And that's the domino effect. Because somebody's losing their house to bankruptcy, or I'm building a new house, to not pay him, to not pay me. You're welcome, DT. To me not having the money to buy animal feed, so I'm not paying the feed store any money. So that's $1,800 a month they're losing there. Well, not 1,800, about 1,400 a month. 1,400 to 1,600 a month is my grain bill. So that money they normally have coming in isn't coming in. Well, $1,400, that's an easy 2-3 weeks of somebody's wages for an employee. So if they don't have that 1,400, 1,600, then that they might have to reduce an employee. Well, that employee doesn't have money coming in. They're not spending money. And that's where the snowball effect goes. Then, like I said, number 10 or whatever number I'm on is the real estate market. That's starting to collapse. They're not announcing it as much, but you can talk to different realtors and look at different market reports. The repossession rates, the foreclosure rates, the bankruptcies that are starting right now are just starting to climb. The next number would be vehicles. Everybody went out and bought $100,000 pickup trucks because for whatever reason, pickup trucks went from 40 grand to $100,000 overnight because of the so-called inflation. Hey, Chris, welcome back. Sorry I cut out, but yeah, I'm back too. And it's just snowballing. And oh yeah, well that and a lot of people don't have money, and with inflation happening, it's like me. I live on my credit cards. I spend almost $3,600 a month on my credit cards, hoping that my payments come in, like my Colorado mortgage payment for $1,800 to cover half of it. And now half my credit card, I'm in debt and I'm paying more interest. So it can snowball. And that's a lot of people. And not just that, a lot of people, like I was just talking about with vehicles, is the real estate market skyrocketed. You know, I was lucky I bought my homestead in 2020 before the prices skyrocketed. I got my rental house before the prices skyrocketed. I got this place just as things were getting ready to skyrocket. But I've got mortgages. And because I had bad credit, because I had all my credit card debt from the trips moving from Colorado, I got put in a 5-6 ARM, which is an adjustable rate mortgage for those of you that don't know what an ARM is. So I have a year, I believe, left on my ARM before my rate increases. And because that was after 2020 and the rates were starting to go up, I the lowest arm I could get at the time with bad credit was 6.25 credit or percent, which at the time I think they had just increased to 3.95%. So just under 4%, and I got locked in at 6.25, 6.25%, but in an arm. So not a 30-year fix. So in like another year, my mortgage changes, and because mortgage rates are higher now and interest rates are higher, my mortgage could double. So a lot of people are going to get hammered by that. And I've said before, the interest rates were going to level out for the summer. But for those of you that don't understand, this winter going into spring of next year, they're going to have to keep raising interest rates. And every one they do here on out is going to dramatically raise inflation. And that's where we're getting to the razor's edge of hyperinflation, where one of these rates, one of these changes, things are going to go bonkers. And you thought it was expensive buying a dozen eggs for $10. Wait till it's $100 for a dozen eggs. And you may think right now, oh, a dozen eggs will never go to $100. Well, let's go back 2 years when eggs were 99 cents a dozen, and nobody would have ever thought eggs would have 10x'd. And they tried to tell us that the food inflation is only up 8-10%. You know, eggs went from 99 cents to $10 a dozen. So that's a 10x rise. That's a lot more than 10, 20, 30% rise. So things are going to happen. They're getting ready to happen rapidly. Average new car, 48. New pickup, yep, like I said, 100,000. Groceries without spending 200. Yeah, I can go. I just went to Walmart, and this was what kind of kicked me in the butt, because I just bought that steel planter pot, which was $120 at Home Depot. And I could have bought a whole bunch of plastic pots, but I look at durability. And this is where last Sunday, Monday vlog last week, I talked about we need to spend more money. And that's what I'm talking about. I could have bought a bunch of plastic containers for about the same amount of money, but those plastic containers don't last long. That steel container, that's going to last years. I don't have to worry about the sun fading it and the plastic cracking and falling apart, busting, and things like that. So by me spending more money for just that one big planter pot, that's worth it. That's where, like I said, going back in time, look at our grandparents, our great grandparents. They had cast iron. They had solid steel tools, things that still are around today that people haven't trashed. Most people trash that because they want the newest gadget and gizmo. But by spending more money for things that last, like that steel planter pot, I'm going to be able to grow year after year after year in that, where the plastic, after so many years with the sun damage, it cracks out, it breaks, it's gone. The steel is going to take a long time to rust. So you guys might want to consider that. Student loans, yep, that's adding up. Lumber, chicken feed now. Yep, everything's going to go up. And for those of you that aren't, I had a lot of people, I made a short video about you should garden now. And I'm going to go back out real quick, just for some of you city people that think you've got to be a homesteader, that you have to have a bunch of land. There's all my toilet paper, shampoo, body soap, all the Epsom salts that I soak in every night from my back and my neck. Got to have it stocked. You have it stocked, things like this happen, you can survive. However, I had a lot of people from the city talk about, well, I'm in the city, what can I do? I don't have land. I don't have a yard like over here. Now, can I dig this grass up over here and plant plants? Yep, I could, because I have a yard. But let's just go to city life. What can you do in the city? Do you have this? A front door, a front porch. Do you have a back door, a back porch? You normally do. There's always some type of sun for one of your either front porch, side porch, back porch, whatever. You can buy planter boxes. Do you not have a big porch? You only have a couple steps? Here's a little walkthrough where your stairs would be. You can get pots. Your stairs smaller than that, don't go with the big pots. Go with the small pots. You can grow something. And I'll tell you, one of the easiest things to do is what I'm doing in most of these brown wooden looking pots. These are plastic because I've had these for years. I've had these for years, but they've been inside, so they're not cracked out. Several of these are already cracked out and they're splitting in half. So these probably aren't going to make it another season, and then I'm going to need new pots. But all of these, kale, butter crunch lettuce, black seeded Simpson lettuce, salad bowl greens there, collard greens here, those are the easy things. And then right here in the front of this, that's cucumbers back there. But the front of this is all beets. For those of you that don't know, you can take small little pots, get you a little bit of soil, $10 for the bags I was buying. And I actually bought organic because Steve's been writing me about get away from Miracle-Gro and all the chemicals and the plastics and all that stuff that's in Miracle-Gro. So I bought all natural, which was cheaper than Miracle-Gro. $9.95 a bag for 2.5 cubic feet. Miracle-Gro's like $17 for only a 2 cubic foot or something like that. But do yourself lettuce, spinach, kale, and beets. You can cut a couple leaves on each plant every day, every other day, every couple days, depending on how they grow. You're not going to kill the beet. You're not going to kill the plant. And if you do several pots like that, and say you got 50, 60 plants between all your pots, and you cut off one leaf per plant, that's 50 to 60 leaves in a bowl. That's one heck of a salad. That's one big salad. And like I said, every couple days they're shooting up new leaves. So it's an easy way to have something going into your belly. You have your fresh greens, have yourself a bunch of ramen, rice-a-roni, stuff like that. That fills you up. Like you said, yep, grow in a lot of containers. Yep, and you can do it indoors with grow lights. And windowsill planters and things like that. But like Chris was saying in the Sunday Monday vlog, Spam, tuna fish, all that type of stuff. You can get all that, stock it up on your shelves, and you have your fresh greens, which give you the nutrients. Going to be a lot better than the veggies at the grocery store that have all the herbicides and pesticides and chemicals and non-nutrition because it's been plucked and pulled from the ground for so long and sitting in different warehouses and storehouses and coolers and then finally to the grocery store. So all the nutrients are out of it. It tastes like cardboard because all the nutrients are gone. So by you growing it, you're getting a lot more minerals and everything that your body needs. And then, like I said, you can buy all the cheap stuff to go with it. So even though the cheap stuff's not healthy for you, it will get you by. But if you don't prepare, if you don't do anything and you just rely on always being fine, like I've said, what was it? I think back last year, December or something like that, I did a video and I said, if you go to the store every day to pick up food to make your dinner, because you live day to day, you never know when the grocery store is empty or when you don't have the money. And then what do? You're starving. I said, push it out to a week. You don't go to the store. Then to 2 weeks, then 3 weeks, then a month, then a couple months. See how far out you can go. And this is why. because you can be like me, sitting here secure, thinking you're going to have income coming in, and then all of a sudden the rug gets pulled out from underneath your feet. But guess what? I'm going to be eating. I may not have money coming in. I may have to use whatever little bit of money from my other income to keep paying on the credit cards to slowly try to get the credit cards paid off again, and not go to Walmart, not buy groceries, not buy dog food, not buy anything for next however many months that I can survive to empty my cabinets and stuff before I'm out of food. But I have that option. If I was going grocery store every day to buy food and not having things stocked up, then what would I be doing right now? I lost my income. I can't afford to keep going to the store. I'd be starving. You lose your job, your wife loses her job, you got kids, you got animals, you got to think of a way to feed yourself. Either prepare this way, homestead by gardening, getting some chickens if you can afford that. Chicken feed's outrageous. The plus side of homesteading is when you garden as well as have animals is if I produce too much, or some of the leaves start turning, or there's something I grow that I don't want, I can feed to the animals. All the leaves that aren't edible on some of the plants, like squash plants. Well, actually, I think squash plant leaves are edible. But different vines, stalks, all that stuff that you normally don't eat on the plants, chickens can eat. The roots from different vegetables, chickens can eat. Rotten vegetables, chickens can eat. So when you're gardening, you can use that to feed the animals. And then guess what? The chickens feed the plants. How? The chickens digest the plants. They poop. Poop is fertilizer. You mix that with some bad soil in your yard or from side of the road or whatever. You let it sit for 6 months to a year for the next grow season. It decomposes. You have fertile soil. Then you don't have to buy soil at Home Depot, at Walmart, at Tractor Supply. Then you have less money going out to produce food. Like I said, it's going to cost you more money to grow your own food than buy at the grocery store. But once you have a system set up, like these vegetables, I paid all this money on my credit cards. It's spent. I have no money going forward to buy anything right now because of loss of income. But as each of those seeds pop up and each plant provides me food, I have food at no cost. No going forward cost. I'm sitting here picking vegetables. I can collect rainwater off the roof. I don't have to spend more water on my water bill to water the plants. These are the things you should be preparing for. These are the things you should be thinking about. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and jump in. Otherwise, I think I'm pretty much at the end of, well, I will talk a little bit more on the stores. The average person only has 3 days. Yep, I talked about that a little while ago, Chris, and that's why I said the FEMA says that. But grocery stores would be out of that, out of groceries and all that within 24 hours nowadays, and it can take weeks for the stores to get new shipments, and especially in natural disaster. But back to the stores that I didn't go over. If you do not pay attention and do your own due diligence, not just watching mainstream, but watch all different things. Disney's doing a bunch of layoffs. McDonald's, Kroger, McDonald's, Burger King. There's a whole bunch of them. You should really look at how many different places you're shutting down stores this month. How many layoffs are happening this month, because this is going to be the start of the snowball effect. And then, like I said, this fall, when they go to raise interest rates, that's going to raise inflation prices again. So you're going to have that higher inflation. Fuel and gas, we all know, is going to go up after the summer. They're going to change out the fuel And we're going to see that bump again right before the holidays. And then the holiday season, you're not going to have all these people spending money. So going into January next year, when all the jobs disappear after the holiday season, you're going to see a really tight bind. I want to say from March going up to about June of next year, you're going to see the next big tightening in my mind. I'm saying that now, because we're about a year out. I talked about October, November this year, about a year and a half ago. I've been saying, I think the food thing's going to happen this year. And everything's pointing more and more. Like I said, the weather, everything happening, it's all coming together to that perfect storm. And we're going to see. The only thing that they're trying to change on the food aspect is they're doing all the lab grown meat now. With the lab grown meat, then they can say, hey, look, because the bird flu happened and we got rid of all these chickens, we can substitute all the lost chicken for fake chicken. I'm not gonna buy it. I'm not gonna order it. That's gonna be up to you on what you guys want to do. But I would highly, highly recommend. I would highly, highly consider, if I was you, not counting on your jobs, not counting on your income. And like I said, I haven't been able to buy 2 years worth of dog food, but you can see every couple months I add an extra couple bags to my dog food. The 44-pound bags, 30-pound puppy chow bags. So I may not be able to buy dog food for the next couple months because of my loss of income. But guess what? These guys are gonna be able to eat. They're not worried about it. They know I've got them taken care of. After that dog food runs out, if I'm still in a bind, well, guess what this homesteader has? Because I'm not just a prepper, but a homesteader. I have 40 plus goats. Guess who can start butchering out animals and cutting down the animal feed bill and feeding my dogs? I have cattle. If I run out of food, I can butcher out a steer or a bull or a cow. I've got a meat supply. These are the reasons why you want to prepare, you want to think, you want to consider not just prepping, but homesteading, farming, gardening, survival, doomsday prepper, military mindset. You want to think of all this. So with that, I appreciate everybody that's been here. If you don't mind, share the video if you can, because there's a lot of people that aren't considering this. And I haven't made a video like this in a long time because I thought I was finally at a steady point in my life where now everything might be flipped upside down. So with that, remember, live happy, live free. That's the only way to be. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for staying tuned in. Thank you for all the thumbs up. Enjoy your week. Get out there, do some prepping, do some gardening, do some homesteading, and I'll see you guys on the next video.